Have you ever wondered how the grass in your parents' yard stays green even during times of little to no rainfall? Irrigation is a type of land conservation that involves supplying dry land with water by means of ditches or pipes. Knowledge of how an underground sprinkler system works and its applications can help one decide whether or not this type of system is right for their future home. I doubt that many of you have ever thought about whether or not you'll need an underground irrigation system in your future home. I sure didn't until I found out that without one, your yard can turn into a dry, barren wasteland. I worked for an underground irrigation company for 6 years, and in that time have gained extensive knowledge in the field of irrigation. The topic is still of interest to me, so I keep my knowledge on the subject matter current by many specific websites and magazines. In order to understand how important an underground irrigation system is for our home, it is first necessary to look at the background of an irrigation system and why they are needed. Second, it is necessary to understand how these systems function. Third, it is necessary to understand the alternatives to sprinkler heads. Lastly, it is important to know some applications for these underground irrigation systems. We'll first start off by looking at the background of underground irrigation systems and why they are needed. Water is supplied to the dry land, like I said previously. Some parts of the land are higher up than others, and when the rain hits the top of the hill, it simply flows down to the base of the hill and then soaks in. This doesn't allow the water to soak in at the top of the hill, and because of that, the top of the hill needs more water. According to a 2015 article on the Popular Mechanics website written by Pruehs, some parts of the land have a lot of shade and they don't need very much water because of this. On the other hand, some parts of the land don't receive any shade, so they need a lot more water than normal. Pipes underneath the ground supply the water to these parts of the land that are dry. The water comes from the city water supply. Once this city water reaches the lot, it branches out into many smaller pipes that supply the land with water that it needs. Now that you all know why underground irrigation systems are needed, it is necessary to talk about how they work. First off, water pressurizes the system. According to a 2015 article on the Lowe's website, the valve box is a plastic box in the ground that consists of all the check valves. These valves open and let the water through. That same 2015 article on the Lowe's website, the valves are either opened manually or electronically by a controller, and once they're open, they allow water to flow through to the branching out pipes. This water flows through the pipe until it hits the sprinkler head. This is the type of valve that I'm talking about. The water flows in this side and out this side. As you can see on the inside, there's a rubber diaphragm. This diaphragm is what keeps the water from flowing when the valve is closed. The way it does that is the spring pushes down on the diaphragm. Once it is opened by the solenoid here on top, it allows the water to flow in, up, and over the diaphragm. You open the valve either manually by turning the solenoid or electronically by wiring it up to a controller of these two valves. Water flows in and up against the diaphragm, but it can't flow through until the solenoid is opened, which lifts up on the diaphragm. The diagram here illustrates the process. The water flows in this side and up against the diaphragm. The solenoid is opened here. It lifts up on the diaphragm, allowing the water to flow up and over. Once this water flows through the valve, it flows through the pipe until it reaches a sprinkler head. The water pressure pushes up on the sprinkler head and shoots out the nozzle at the top. According to a 2015 article on the Popular Mechanics website written by Pruehs, the water shooting through the nozzle at the top of the sprinkler head causes it to rotate, which covers a lot more of the dry land water. As you can see, this is the type of sprinkler head that I'm talking about. When the water reaches the sprinkler head, it overcomes the pressure of the spring and pushes up the top of the sprinkler head, allowing it to shoot out this nozzle. When the water is shooting out, it causes the sprinkler head to turn, as you can hear. The water is not flowing with no water pressure. The spring causes the sprinkler head to come back down. By now, you should all know how an underground irrigation system works. So next, we'll talk about some alternatives to sprinkler heads. The first type of alternative to sprinkler head is called drip irrigation. In a 2015 article on the Katy Waterworks website, some plants need to receive water by their roots. Drip irrigation involves wrapping a small brown pipe around the base of the plants And this pipe has holes in it which allow the water to drip out and soak down into the roots. This is the type of drip irrigation pipe I'm talking about. As you can see, there are small holes in it, which is where the water drips out. You're probably asking yourself, if the water pressure is strong enough to overcome the powerful spring in this sprinkler head, wouldn't it spray everywhere out of the holes of the drip pipe? This is a good question to ask, but the answer in short is no. The reason for this is because when you install a drip pipe, you also must install a pressure reducer on the other end of the valve right here. This obviously reduces the pressure, allowing the water to drip out of the holes in the drip irrigation pipe instead of spraying it. The other alternative to sprinkler head is called zero spray sprinklers. Certain annual flowers are fragile and cannot withstand the water pressure that comes from regular sprinkler heads. According to that 2015 article on the Katy Waterworks website, in order to combat this problem, zero spray sprinklers are used that reduce the pressure and allow a light mist to fall over the flowers without damaging. This is a zero spray sprinkler I'm talking about. This small nozzle here is where you run a small piece of pipe over to the drip pipe. This allows a lower pressure water to flow to the zero spray sprinkler up at the top and out the nozzle that is 180 degrees at the top. Just how far this 180 degree flow flies by turning this nozzle here. After I told you all about some alternative sprinkler heads, we will now talk about applications for underground irrigation systems. There are two different types of applications, and they are called sod or seed. According to the 2015 article on the Lowe's website, sodding the ground involves laying down strips of grass that have already sprouted. Sod must be watered at least 4 times per day in order to give the roots the best chance of sticking to the ground. The other alternative application for an underground sprinkler system is seed. Seeding involves putting grass seed down all over the lot. This seed must be watered in for short periods at least 8 times per day. The reason that seed must be watered in more than sod is because if the ground was not wet, the seeds would simply blow away in the wind. Keeping the ground wet allows the seeds to stick to the ground and gives them a better chance of the roots sprouting. Today we have taken a look at the technology behind the underground irrigation system. First, we took a look at the background of an underground irrigation system and why they're important. Next, we examined how these systems function. Third, we looked at some alternatives to sprinkler heads, and lastly, we talked about the applications for underground irrigation systems. I know that an underground sprinkler system may not be in the near future for many of you, because it sure is not for me. Now that you know more about these systems and how they work, you should be educated enough to make a well-informed decision on whether or not this type